everyone, and welcome back to Emkin Gardening. Today we're going to be on the opposite side of our front flower bed that we were in our last video. This side we have a straight line of different types of flower beds, and today we're going to be working in our crabapple tree bed, we call it, and then our pine tree bed. So in our crabapple bed, it's only about 2.5 feet in width. So we fill it up pretty full with perennials right now. And so we're gonna just keep adding to our perennial stock today. And then in our pine tree bed, we're going to be adding more perennials, but we're also gonna be adding some annuals in there as well. And there's a lot more to talk about with that bed. There's a lot more work that needs to be done for that bed. So why don't we go through what is in our crabapple tree bed first. So right off the bat, our structure for this flower bed is the crabapple. I don't remember the specific variety of crabapple. We got this many years ago. It's been doing really well. In the spring, it puts out whitish pinkish blooms and then forms the berries. They're in their green stage right now, but they turn bright red, and it's wonderful winter interest in the winter because you have the bare branches that the snow will fall and settle on, and then these bright red berries. So it's very Christmassy, and we love trees like this that give you that full season range of colors. You know, you get the beautiful blooms in the spring, the nice green foliage in the summertime. And then in the fall, the leaves turn a fall color, that yellow orangey color. And then in the winter time, you get the berries. The other thing that we do like about this crabapple tree is the berries. Their stems are really strong. They don't fall. It's not a mess. We've never had like a ton of berries on the ground, making it a huge mess to clean up. The birds typically take care of anything that does fall on the ground, if not just eat them straight off the tree. So another reason we love it is because it provides forage for the birdies. So moving to this side, we have our white peonies. They are out of bloom, but we'll pop a picture up on what they looked like in the early spring. So we have our white peonies. Oh, Ryan, look.
I know, I saw it and I missed it.
Do you guys know what this is? This is a sumac. And I don't know about you in your garden, but these sumac trees are everywhere, and they are the bane of our existence. We'll be taking care of that. Right in front, and the smell. There's something about the smell of sumacs that I can't do it. Can't do it. All right, so right in front we have a beautiful penstemon. Penstemons are wonderful because they have that dark stem and the really beautiful trumpet-like flowers for the honeybees and the butterflies. They love that. We have a penstemon here and a penstemon back here that's out of bloom right now. You can see what it looks like when it's out of bloom. And then we have 3 pink, very vigorous, echinaceas. So we have one here, one in the middle, and then one on the other side, kind of flanking it. So when we pop over here, we kind of have a repeat. We have the pink cone flower over there, echinacea. We have another one right here, and then we have another white peony. Also tucked in back here is a blue delphinium, but delphiniums are biannuals, so every other year they will bloom. So that one is not in bloom right now, but we keep the stake there for us to remember that there is a delphinium there. What we do have, one of our delphiniums, is right here, beautiful in purple, and we will be staking this delphinium up today. It desperately needs it. Okay, so those are the perennials that are in this little mini bed already. So now let's talk about what we're going to add to it this year. Okay, so first bigger perennial that we're putting in is a storm cloud Amsonia from Proven Winners. This is almost to its mature size. It's going to get, let's make sure I get this right. Yes, 2 feet tall. It's going to spread about 2.5 feet wide. We're going to tuck this in, and it's going to take up the entire spot that we're going to tuck it in. But what we love about this, and I'm sure if you remember in our plant haul video, we showed it, and it was in bloom at that time. It blooms in the early spring. Those periwinkle star-shaped blooms all over the top. They're like really small and delicate. So that's their bloom in the early spring. But what's wonderful is the dark stem that this has provides a lot of interest, and the olive leaves, the variegation in them is kind of silvery, so it catches the light a little. So it just becomes beautiful all for the whole season, which is wonderful. So this Amsonia is going to go, and you'll see how tight of a fit this is. We're popping it there. You know, and maybe it's gonna act as like a natural staking system where it just keeps everything else up. Who knows? So that's where the Amsonia is gonna go. It's going to be really nice because we'll have the peony blooms, we'll have the crabapple blooms, we'll have white, a blue for the Amsonia. So we'll have some early color in this bed, which will be fantastic. Moving on, we have 2 Leading Lady Plum Bee Balm. When we picked this up, the first thing that attracted me to it was actually the scent. It smells so good, and I couldn't figure out if it was the blooms. I think it's the foliage that smells so good. Oh, it's so sweet. I can't even describe what smell it is, but it's like a sweet smell. And the flowers are just so interesting. So these have like spidery almost looking blooms, but they attract all of the pollinators, bumblebees, honeybees, butterflies, hummingbirds. I find them so interesting. They do not get very tall, only about 14 inches tall. They do spread out for a little over a foot, but they're perfect for the front of a flower bed border, so that's exactly where we're going to put them. We have 2, so we're gonna put one here, and the other on the other side. You can see these ones are kind of going out of bloom, but that's okay, more will come. So to finish out this side of the perennials in this flower bed, we're going to mirror the penstemons that are on the other side. Now those ones are more in their mature state than these ones are, but that's okay, they will catch up. These are Husker Red Penstemons, and we are going to be putting them in the exact same locations that's mirrored on the other side, just right behind me. So again, really, really attracting to pollinators because of the trumpet blooms. And we love the leaf structure and the dark stem. You can see the leaves have different colors as they mature, so it provides a lot of interest when the leaves are just forming. So I'm thinking maybe do, what do you think? This one and this one?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. And we will be staking up our Delphinium as well. So, how are we going to plant? We are going to use our auger. We're going to aug the holes. We're going to put our biotone starter fertilizer in it. We're going to plant them, tuck them in, new soil on top. We're going to stake up our Delphinium. And that'll be good for this section of our crabapple tree bed. Okay, here we go. are part sun to sun, which is great because we get full sun coming in this way. And even when the crabapple tree gets bigger and casts more shade on this bed, they're still going to get that incoming sun, so they will still be within their realm of light requirements. And we're really excited to see how this bed fills in. So now we're going to pop over to the pine tree bed because there's a lot more going on over there. So this is our pine tree bed because we have a giant pine tree. Pines typically make the soil a little bit more acidic, which the plants that we planted here have not seemed to have minded all that much. Right in front of me we have a echinacea. We have a baptisia back here, a lemonade baptisia, which is out of bloom right now, but we'll pop a picture of what it was. And then we have our line of black-eyed Susans, which are almost ready to bloom. But we did have some garden fails in this bed. So this is a really interesting location because half of it gets full sun, like we were talking about, but the other half does get some part sun due to our cherry tree. Our big mature cherry tree casts a little bit more shade, so it's in a part sun location. So we had 2 of these echinaceas, but the other one on the other side did not survive the first winter that we were living in the house. But that's okay because this one is doing great. Both baptisias are doing well on each side, which is fantastic. Another kind of garden fail, I say that loosely because gardening is so wonderful because it can change so drastically. You know, you can have something that's so reliable, and then for something to happen that was totally out of your control, whether it was weather related or the plant just decided not to come back, which happens, you know. So gardening really keeps you grounded and humble, and it just gives you opportunities to do other things when something fails. So we had Shasta daisies right in the front of the bed that did not come back this year. We have like these tiny little remnants of the Shasta daisies, and not even really like healthy, strong ones. So, such is life. We're going to plant some annuals here this year in the front and see what happens next year. And then maybe just plant more Shasta daisies. Sometimes a perennial will just run its life cycle, you know, after coming back for so many years. And these Shasta daisies actually came, Ryan, you know, from our previous location. We had them in the ground in one of the flower beds in our previous home. So they've had a few seasons of life. So we're going to do annuals this year to kind of have color here for this season. The other thing is we have these lilies that were here when we bought the house. And what's interesting about these lilies, they're like a mixture of yellow, orange, and red lilies that bloom. If you notice, there's a lot of holes because there is a particular type of red beetle that eats only this specific lily. So it's not a ladybug, because it doesn't have, it's not a ladybug, it doesn't have the spots. It's a specific red beetle that only attacks this particular type of lily. And we learned this because these were brought over from, this type of lily was brought over from England. We had to do some like research on like, what is this thing and why is it attacking anything else in our garden? It's like these lilies are the host plant for this red beetle. So we had to do some research. The bulbs came over from overseas, and typically bring these beetles with them in like their bags and stuff. So like the larvae and everything, and these bugs winter over on the soil level when they drop their eggs, and they just winter over there and then grow in the spring, crawl up and have wonderful food sources right there. So it's part of the garden. We're not sure if we're going to keep it because the blooms are really pretty if they're allowed to bloom, if they get to the point where they can bloom, because as you can see, the beetles will also eat the blooms. And we've gotten rid of some of these before, and the beetles have not spread anywhere else. So they're really specific to this type of lily, which is so interesting. So they may or may not stay in future years. I don't know. So what we're planting in this bed is some annuals. We have cosmos to plant. We have the Sonata White cosmos. They get up to 2 feet tall, and we have a mix. Looks like a pink mixture of a sensation mix that also, ooh, these ones get taller, like 3 feet tall. So we'll see if they grow to that size potential, but we're gonna just flank the border of this bed with some cosmos. It's going to give a nice contrast of foliage texture from these big bold leaves of the Black-Eyed Susan to a more frilly and delicate foliage texture. So I think that's going to look really great, along with, this is more like lime green in color compared to the dark green of the plants backing it up. We're also going to place some purple fountain grass behind the Baptisia back there as like a taller backdrop. So these get up to 3 feet tall, and they shoot out not as big as 3 feet. But they have these really awesome plumes that come up all the way, and they get really big and thick, and it provides a lot of interest back there. Again, a difference of texture from the different varieties of leaves, and you get a nice dark purple variegation against the white fence. So we have 2 of these that we're going to pop back there, and then we had to relocate some of our iris when we were putting in our hose link early spring from one of our flower beds right by the house. So we have them in our gorilla cart right now, and they're really beautiful. They are a mix of purple and whites. I'll pop a picture on the screen of what they look like. They're really, really beautiful, but they've been sitting in our gorilla cart for this season, and we haven't put them in the ground yet. So we're actually going to put them closest to the pine tree right here in hopes that that can be their new home. And those ones would be perennials, not like these annuals. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drill the holes, put in our biotone, plant them on up, and then show you what it looks like when we're done.